Here, Bob.
Okay. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting, and we will be presenting program improvement proposals. We have our supervisors here tonight who will review those proposals with you. And we are going to start with Kathleen. Kathleen is here tonight in place of Darcy Rebecca.
We do have public comments, so we should start with
That's-
public comments.
Okay, all right then.
Are you saying anything?
Is there any public comments tonight?
I'm just going to put this over here.
So no one has any public comment? Then we're ready to start with the program improvement proposals.
Okay, great, thank you. We're going to start with Mrs. Kathleen Lockery. She will be presenting the proposals for K-12 health and wellness.
Thank you for having me. The Health and Phys Ed Department, or the Wellness Department, has 3 different proposals for this evening. The first is for the K-2 program, and this K-2 proposal specifically highlights the need for the update of the Project Adventure curriculum material that we use. I can attest from teaching at the elementary level, this is like the highlight for the kids, and we had a safety inspector in who did an inspection, and some of the material is outdated and needs to be updated for their safety. And that's not included in this because it was submitted after this proposal was done. The other change that's happening in the district is, as you know, FitnessGram has replaced Presidential Physical Fitness. And the board is, we've been moving forward with the FitnessGram, so we need to add that into the curriculum, so that needs to be revised. Do you have any questions about the K-2 proposal?
When you say that the Project Adventure equipment needs updated, does that include the climbing walls, or is that exclusive of the climbing walls?
I don't have the safety guidelines in front of me. As I was told, if there was a piece of equipment that needed to be replaced because of a safety issue, it would only be replaced if all 7 elementary schools already used that piece of equipment. They wouldn't update, for instance, the fidget ladder at Bedminster Elementary if the fidget ladder didn't need, if the other elementaries weren't using the fidget ladder. I believe every year it's inspected for safety. The climbing walls are highly used, not just in Project Adventure, but in other aspects of the curriculum through the year. And those footholds and handholds are always adjusted for safety. If there's an issue, that's taken care of as the year goes through.
Thank you. Okay. Then we will move on to the next.
Okay, so in the middle school, we have a curriculum proposal for the use of iPads. Specifically, it's geared to realign, or align, I should say, the middle school with both the elementary and the high school curriculum. Both the elementary teachers and the high school teachers in the Health and Phys Ed Department have iPads that they use in various different ways. We're very mobile. We're in the classroom, we're in the gym, we're outside. Since we're going towards FitnessGram, or have moved towards FitnessGram, the iPad has the FitnessGram app that's compatible, so we can log in that skills assessment or whatever it is right there while we're in the classroom. But we can also use that iPad for other instances, such as other apps that the high school and the elementary have used. Can I answer any questions about this proposal?
You're purchasing 8, is that one for each of the faculty members who teach at the middle school?
Yes. And the last proposal would be for the 10th grade phys ed program, health and phys ed program. And specifically, right now, we have students in swimming for a semester for the 10th grade program. In years past, it was boys in the pool one semester, girls in the pool the other semester. But this year it needed to be changed, mainly because of safety issues with the number of kids in the 9th grade class that came in. So we have, in the first marking period and the fourth marking period, we have our 10th graders outside. And then the second and the third marking period, we have the 10th graders in a co-educational swim program sharing the pool. And it seems to be working. But we run into the issue of weather, like where do we put those kids when we come in? And it's only happened a couple times, and the teachers in the high school have been able to adjust. So the proposal is to have this 10th grade coeducational swim program move from just one semester to the full year. And there are a variety of things that you can see in the proposal that can happen with that, such as more differentiation with the students with their specific swim levels, to skin diving and the safety, the snorkeling if you want to put it that way, but everything that can go with that. Water polo activities, water volleyball activities, American Red Cross, swim safety issues, second grade swimming, we start that, so this would be a continuation for them.
How much of the available time during the school year for the pool, during the school day, I should say, will be consumed by this expanded program?
Well, it kind of is a wash, because as it was last year, the boys had it for one full semester and the girls had it for a semester. Now we're just combining it into a co-ed class, and it'll be for a full year. So basically, we're going to be taking the students off of the court or the field for their phys ed program and putting them in a pool for their 10th grade year, as well as using the weight training room for strength training. That'll be part of it as well.
Do you have any students who object to the swimming program, and do they have an opt-out available?
I honestly don't know if there's an opt-out. I'd have to look into that and answer that question. The biggest concern going into the co-ed program was going to be the bathing suit issue, and it didn't change. Girls were in full bathing suits, boys were in full trunks when it was separate, and that same rule has been instituted for the co-ed program, and there's been no issue whatsoever.
I'm a 10th grader right now, so I'm not a boy though. So I know it's been a little bit more difficult, I think, for the girls of an adjustment, it seems. So 10th grade PE will just become a year of swimming, you're saying? Because I know right now with swimming, they are in the weight room. And actually, I believe after Thanksgiving, they've readjusted where they've split the boys and the girls somewhat.
They have done that.
But the boys are in the pool, the girls are in the weight room. So
And that can
it's
be
helping to alleviate that co-ed problem.
Yep, and that will be continued.
So that will most likely continue that way. But what you're saying then with this proposal, so 10th grade PE, you would cut out most of your outdoor, like what he did this year, for first marking period and then with fourth. So it would be, basically PE would be swimming and
Correct.
indoor weight room.
Correct.
And that covers, and then we're covering curriculum, I mean, as far as they're losing then those other activities.
When we talk about those activities, they're divided into strands with fitness, cardiovascular. They can be picked up. As a department, we need to look at where we can pick it up in 9th, 11th, and 12th grade in the phys ed curriculum. Really, what is being lost? What are the critical needs that we need to make sure the kids are getting?
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, like you said, you're increasing the swimming because of the curriculum with the Red Cross, because most students aren't taking lifeguarding.
Lifeguarding. No, not
those
most.
types of things.
Correct. Most students are not. And unintentional drowning is the second, or drowning is the second unintentional death in kids. I have the statistic in front of me, and it's in the proposal. You can read that. So that would be instituted in this 10th grade curriculum, and I think it's such a huge safety issue. I mean, filling in and teaching 7th or 2nd grade swimming, it really astounds me how many students, even in our district, have never even been in the water one time. And they get into the water with me the first time, and it's a death grip on my hands, and they're climbing up my body, and by the end of the 7-week program, they're confidently going underwater. But as we have teenagers in the water, and we know teenagers have a lot more confidence, it's critical that they learn the skills of how to be safe on the water, whether it's in a boat, whether they're at a lake swimming in water as an ocean and a pool.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Anything else? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, my proposal is more or less a continuation of previous proposals, and in middle school, as you may remember, our units are not designed, or our curriculum is not designed as it is in some middle schools, where in one year they concentrate on earth and space science, in another year life science, and in a third year physical science. We have physical science in 8th grade, but in 6th and 7th, our model follows what we've been doing grades 1 through 5, which is a combination of all 3 domains of science: earth and space science, life science, and physical science. So in 6th grade, we have a unit on earth and space science that deals primarily with the dynamics of the earth and earth processes. And we have a diversity of life unit for their life science, and a workforces and simple machines unit for their physical science. That encompasses the 6th grade science curriculum. In 7th grade, we have an earth and space science unit that's focused on astronomy and the mechanics of Earth movement in relation to the moon and the sun. So they do tides, seasons, eclipses, etc. And that serves their earth and space science unit. They also bring in the life science into that unit, as well as what makes a planet habitable, what features of Earth support life, etc. And then the rest of the year, their life science is environmental science, genetics, and heredity and evolution. So it's been challenging to find textbooks because we don't have a full year in any grade level of one specific science domain. So we've revised the curriculum, as you know. Probably we've been fully 3 years into the revised middle school curriculum. And up to this point, we've used materials as resources, but there's been no textbook. So I've been exploring books for a while, and you may remember that last spring I brought a book for the ecosystems unit, the environmental unit. That has been well received by the 7th grade teachers, and what is useful about that is you can either buy the full textbook, which has all of those units included, or they sell the textbook as modules. So you could get a specific unit for just astronomy, a specific unit for just dynamics of the Earth processes. So in this series of books, my proposal is to purchase the books that go with the Earth and Space Science, the full textbook, with online subscriptions. And that can serve double duty because it will serve 6th grade and it will serve 7th grade. Since those units are taught at different times of the year in each grade, the book can do double duty. It can be used in the 6th grade curriculum, and then it can be used in the 7th grade curriculum as well. The other book that's part of this proposal is intended for 7th grade. It's the same series as the one that we purchased for the environmental part, the environmental unit. This one would support the cells and heredity unit. That's the reason that this is significantly cheaper, at least the proposal is significantly cheaper, is because it's not the full textbook, it's just the module textbook. Questions?
Having seen the Keystone Biology exam, its results, which weren't especially wonderful here or across the state, as I understand it, will this have any impact on that particular issue, which obviously is an issue for our seniors who wish to graduate?
Well, it's It's interesting, it should, because the resources that are provided they include a lot of resources that support the 21st century skills. It's definitely aligned with the new generation science standards, which, although Pennsylvania has not made the move to adopt that yet, are the eligible content for both the PSSA science, life science part of it, and the Keystones match pretty well to that. So I'm expecting that will definitely help support our results on the Keystone. We also have the challenge that we still have the 8th grade PSSA science test. So that encompasses physical science, life science, and earth and space science. So we do need to set the course for the Keystone biology, especially with our honor students, because as I understand it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they don't teach the environmental part of that to our honors biology students. So that was the purpose of strengthening that unit in 7th grade, and we're seeing progress in that even on our PSSA anchors.
Anyone else?
Since it's an ebook, will the students have access at home?
We will have a license. The e-licenses are very expensive. What this proposal would do would be to purchase 2 class sets, a class set for each teacher. There's 2 teachers per building for 6th grade science and 7th grade science. So this would purchase 2 classroom sets of 35. With those books would come licenses so that kids can access the resources online. We tend to see this probably being used more as a classroom resource rather than taking it home as a resource. To purchase the individual licenses would be, I did price that out, and it was extremely expensive and difficult to justify. So teachers will be able to probably set up a classroom account, but it wouldn't be linked to an individual student. So there would be access codes to be able to access the online resources, but it would not be a complete e-textbook because it would not be 1 book per student.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because if you're using it in different classes at different times, so there might be, for each license, there might be, like you have, I don't know, like, how many kids? 12? 10 kids using the same license throughout the year? The same book?
That's why they would not be accessing it from home. It would be accessed in the classroom.
Right, so they can't actually access the book. Because if you actually have a physical book, you can sign it out to one student, they can bring it back, and you can
Yes.
sign it out to another student, just like the library does with online books.
Well,
Why
we
can't you
have,
do that?
that's something that we're going to talk to the teachers about, how they want to utilize the licenses, whether they want to have individual ones that they can use to supplement for kids that need to bring the book home. Right now with the module that we purchased for the environmental unit, there's no online subscription except for the teacher. So only the teacher can use those resources in the classroom during whole group instruction. With these licenses, we need to see which way the teachers feel it would be best utilized. So there will be 210 licenses, but you're right, that's clearly, if we have a class of 600 students in 6th grade, not every student would have an individual license. So we need to decide how those are going to be used.
So then why don't we just do a 1-year license to start instead of a 6-year?
The 1-year license was also very cost prohibitive. The difference in the cost was the text itself. To buy the text itself, that was the bulk of the cost for this. And then for an additional few dollars, you got the online resources as well. There is a 1-year subscription rate, but we would still have to buy the text. They don't sell the online subscription without the textbook. So it's not a true e-text.
I guess I'm just not really understanding how the text is working if the student can't access it at home. And then I think we're really limiting ourselves if they only have access to it, especially for an elementary or middle school student.
They don't have texts right now. They have a classroom set of texts, which they're using even now. So they don't bring the textbooks home in middle school.
When there's a student who's absent and you want them to read at home, if they can't access the textbook at home, then...
We do have, we have extra books. We have more than the number of kids that are in a classroom. So if a teacher does want a book to go home, they can sign books out. But that's what I'm saying. If we have these access to the online site, the teacher could assign a student access to it at night to do at home on an individual basis, because they will have in each building 70 licenses. So they don't have to be assigned to individual students. They will have access codes, 70 access codes, that they can distribute when they need to do so.
So the students could take them home. You could have your whole class say, here's the access code. You can
Absolutely, you could,
at
yes.
night.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were saying, that
Yep,
they couldn't
mhm.
access it at home, but they can. If you
Yes,
can.
I just meant that not all 600 sixth graders would be able to access it at the same time. Mhm. Oh, yes, mhm.
Take it out.
Absolutely.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Oh, yeah, I misunderstood your question.
Okay. Yeah, that was it.
Anything else?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Cutner.
First of all, my name, excuse me, my name hasn't changed over the last year. It is Mrs. Cotner Davis yet. So I have 3 proposals. The first one is dealing with Biology 1 honors. The current textbook that we're using, the online resources that were available for that textbook have been taken offline by the textbook company. And our biology teachers were using those online resources quite heavily during their instruction for students to be able to access them at home. So they would like to look at an e-text that we would be purchasing licenses that would be over a 6-year period that we would be able to utilize, and each student would have access to that e-text at home to utilize, and then also any other online resources that would be available for that particular textbook as well. And as they're looking for a new textbook, they're always keeping in mind that they need to make sure that it aligns with the Keystone Biology curriculum to make sure that our students are fully prepared for the Keystone exam. Well, we've been able to show over the last couple years that we've been administering the Keystone Biology exam that our honors level students have been doing very well on the Keystone exam. What questions do you have about the Biology 1 honors?
No, I think we're fine. I'm sorry, Mrs.
Oh, yeah, I just had, I mean, well, this is for, all of them seem to be 6-year license, so that's the,
Yes, and I checked with the sales representative for the textbook that we're currently using to see if we could possibly get it for a longer period of time, and the company really wasn't interested in going any longer than 6 years.
I would think too with science, I mean, there's always things that they're adding, so I'm just, that's the standard now, just to do 6 years?
That seems to be the going range. Either do 1 year or you do 6 years as far as a license. And it is more cost effective to go the 6-year route than doing 1 year at a time. So you save a little bit of money over the long run. And with biology, there are new things happening all the time. Whether or not the Keystone Biology exam will reflect those new discoveries in biochem, we'll have to wait and see.
Do they update the e-text every year since it's an online text and it's not printed?
What I can tell you from my experience with the physics academic textbook, it is the same edition textbook. So you're buying the e-text license for this particular copyright.
And I'm just wondering, it's $125
Mhm.
license.
Yeah.
What the book is on?
The book is just a little bit more than that.
So they're making a lot more money now.
Yes, they are. They are definitely in the business of making money in the process. But with our students having one-on-one laptop computers available, this will cut down on the number of textbooks that they do need to carry, back and forth. It'll be there for them on the laptop and be able to access web-wise. I know. And this is from the higher education department at the book companies. So in other words, we're looking at textbooks at this level that are used at many junior colleges across the country, if not freshman level biology courses at many colleges and universities as well. So that also has an increase on the cost of the textbook and the e-text. And from what our sales rep explained to me is that they need to do a special contract with the book company, the higher ed department, in order to even get the 6-year license, because since it is for higher education, typically it's for 1 year.
If I could just add, it's strictly not, when we're looking at these online resources and the e-text, it's not just the print materials. There's videos, there's simulations, there are...
There's more going on.
Oh, there's a lot more of the online resources. Yeah, definitely. In science, there are a lot of the virtual investigations, so they can do online labs, which with some of the labs that may be very expensive to bring the materials in to do it hands-on, they can go and simulate that as far as a virtual investigation. I can't speak this evening. There's a DNA lab that I know that they do in Biology 1 Honors right now that's online. And the equipment that you would need to actually perform that particular lab that they're working with, we would never be able to afford that at the high school level. But they can go on and do the simulation and get an idea of what it's all about. The second proposal, really the same type of information that I just relayed as far as the Biology 1 program, but this is the Chemistry 1 Honors program. The textbook that we currently have is a copyright of 2004. Next year, the junior class, if things go according to plan, we'll also have one-on-one computers as well. So it was felt that since the textbook is 10 years old, number one. Number two, the junior class will have computers to work with one-on-one, that this was a good time for them to investigate possibly adopting an e-textbook as well. Again, this is from the higher ed department of the book company. The 6-year license, we're looking at approximately $130 for the 6 years. Textbooks a little bit more than that. Probably looking closer to $135, $140, for that. Again, whichever textbook they decide to come forward to be as a proposal to adopt, they want to make sure that it's not just the print material, but it also has a lot of the online resources as well. And again, looking at those virtual investigations, looking at possibly having interviews with real scientists, making those type of connections, with the real world outside of the classroom as well. Questions that you have on the Chemistry 1 program?
I think in the proposal, or at least the summary of the proposal, it was noted that this should act as a better medium to the revised AP Chemistry. Can you comment?
Curriculum, yes. The AP Chemistry curriculum was rewritten 2 years ago, and there are a lot more inquiry-based type labs that are being expected to be done by the AP Chemistry students. And a lot of their free response questions may be cycled around that. They have not gone to the point where they have designated specific labs as they've done in AP Biology. they continue to designate a certain percentage of class time should be spent on lab investigations. So what they're looking at is that having some of the introductory, a little bit more of the introductory material that's covered in the AP program, to see if we can integrate that into the Chemistry 1 honors program as well, so that the students are coming forward to the next level with just a little bit more foundation behind them. And the instructor will not feel as rushed in covering the AP curriculum and having it done by the beginning of May, especially if we have a repeat of last year's winter. AP exams stay the same day. Other questions? Okay, and then my third proposal is requesting putting in a new course called Integrated Science Transitional. This school year is the first school year that we've had the Integrated Science program at the high school level. It is for those students who did not score proficient on the Keystone Biology exam last year. And in fact, that group of students will be taking their retests Thursday and Friday this week as well. So hopefully they've had a very rigorous program. In fact, the biology teachers have been referring to it as the 60-day biology boot camp. The students who are scoring below basic are really struggling and keeping up with the rigors of the current course in being prepared for the Keystone exam. And I'm looking at the students who did score below basic. Last year's group, we're looking at 52 students that fell into that category. I think it would be very beneficial for those students if they were in a transitional level where these students might have in their IEP that they're only to take the exam once, and then they are to prepare and take the project-based assessment. These students who have scored below basic, I'm not exactly sure if we can get them to proficiency in those 60 days. Not that our teachers aren't trying to get them there, but these are the students who have a tendency to have low reading levels. Their skill set is very low as far as studying is concerned. And we would like to have them in a course where it's a little slower rate for them to go. And we feel very secure that they're going to be successful on the project-based assessment. And I say that with that confidence because we did do the field test with the project-based assessment, so we have an idea of what it involves. And not put as much pressure on these students, because they already have enough pressure of realizing that they have to pass this to graduate. So trying to give them a glimmer of hope. So that's really the rationale on why we're asking for this transitional level course.
Those
Yes.
students right now, so those that would fall into this course, they're retaking the test coming up?
Yes, they are. Yes. In fact, all of them that are in the Integrated Science program will be taking the course again. And like I said, these students that are falling this lower level, they're looking at what they're doing as far as remediation in 60 days and going, there's no way. It's just not enough time for them to feel confident that they're going to do well. And they're typically the students who have not done well on our standardized test. I mean, we can go back and look at PSSA science, and they score below basic there.
So how long is this course going to be?
I'm looking at a full year because with them being the lower level students, looking at doing a remediation of the concepts because they're going to need to know where to find the information in order to do the project-based assessment. The teachers have set up the remediation portion as being very module in its presentation, trying to get it very organized. So when the students are working on the project-based assessment, they'll know, okay, I need to do something with genetics. Here's my packet on the remediation on genetics. I'll find the information here.
So will this be a 10th grade class
This would be a 10th grade class, yes.
And so the scores come in the summer?
Yes, about July 10th is when they were released this past summer. And then the following week, that was a Friday, I believe, on the schedule. The following week, I was moving students into the integrated science program that did not score proficiency.
So they'll take this instead of physics?
Or principles of science, properties of matter, or earth and space science.
Some of them signed up for that. Rather
Yes.
than
Mm-hmm.
And then will you still have the 60-day
No.
for some students, or it'll just?
Oh, yes, yes. We'll stay with the regular integrated science for those students that scored basic.
Okay.
Because, you know, with them being, okay, you're just one level below, we just need to push you up one level.
And what do those kids go into then the rest of the semester or the year?
What they're going to be doing, in fact, starting Monday next week, the integrated students are going to be doing a project-based assessment on viruses, and it's going to be focusing on the Ebola virus. And they have it set up that the students are going to be virtually sent to different countries, and they're going to need to research the probability that they might pick up Ebola and research what needs to be done if they do, as far as the care is concerned, and then bring those resources back. And then part of their research is looking at why doesn't it seem to be predominant in the news now, like it was 2 months ago. And so they're going to be looking at that. So they're going to look at different project-based assessments. When we get the results back in March, those students who did score proficient will continue with project-based assessments, hopefully in areas of science that they have an interest in. And then those who did not reach the proficiency level will work on the project-based assessment then.
So it's currently a full year class?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you'll basically be splitting the class?
Yes.
Into two, so one for the.
Yes. So all the sections now are either co-taught or they have a teaching assistant in the class with the students, so that they're going to be able to do that.
So that way, if ever with the project-based assessments built in, if they don't pass it the second time, then they've completed their project-based.
The hope is that all the sophomores will reach their graduation requirement as far as biology is concerned at the end of their 10th grade. So that once they've taken the literature in May of their 10th grade year, they can worry about whether or not they need to reach proficiency for that, and then they have the Algebra 1 exam. Other
How many
questions?
students do you have in this integrated science class?
We have about 173, 174 approximately, about 175. I have a few students who are trying a pilot program that scored within 10 points of the cutoff score. And they're doing a learning contract. So they have access to Study Island to remediate independently. And then also I've shared with them the Pennsylvania Learns material that's on iTunes University that the state just released this past summer as well. So since they're within 10 points of the score, the parents were concerned that most of these students wanted to be in physics, 10th grade year. And they missed it by 10 points. In some cases, 2 points. And it's like, well, I can offer this. So we're trying this. I'm hoping that the students will be very successful after they take the exam Thursday and Friday of this week.
So are they currently in physics?
They're currently in physics, yes.
Physics is just in addition to.
Into addition, yes. So I'm hoping to open that up to all students who are within that 10-point range next
So
summer.
it's about a third of last year's ninth grade class that
Yes.
scored basic or a bit lower.
Yes. Approximately. Like I say, our honor students was about 98% scored proficient or advanced. Not so much for academic and transitional. So it gives you an idea what level this exam is written at.
Oh, I know there was a lot of stress over that.
Yes.
Last year, you know, because like I said, I had a ninth grader last year, and, you know, they all were very stressed over it. And it's unfortunate that, you know, we all know that the state issues this test and they're not through the curriculum.
Correct.
So it puts those other the students that may struggle already at a disadvantage.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
This is the current sophomores are the first that have to.
Yeah, they're the class of 2017. So they need to reach proficiency either on the exam or the project-based assessment.
And the test is in March or?
May.
Okay, so they still, there's a month of the class that they haven't done.
Yes. And like with the honors level students, that's usually where they might do some other topics that are not covered in the course. They might do a little bit with the ecology and the environment. I was just figuring out class of 2019 will be the first class that will benefit from the change in the curriculum at the middle school level. So we'll be able to see, you know, what effect that change has had on our results.
Do you know if high schools that use block scheduling, if they tend to do better on the Keystone exams just because of the way the classes are set up, and they could, if they took it in the first semester, and then they could have until, you know, they could be.
Well, they also have, in block scheduling, if they take it in the fall, they have the option of administering the test in January. There's a January testing window. And then in the spring, the May testing window.
So they still end up with the same.
It's not giving them enough time.
Yes, especially if you have a lot of snow days in second semester. It's always a worry.
Do you anticipate any significant changes on the part of the state in terms of the biology Keystone?
Not from what I've been hearing, because I don't think they're hearing what we're saying. So I know a lot of the parent conversations I had this past summer that were very frustrated that this is how this was set up, and I kept emphasizing this is not Pennridge doing this. This is the state doing this. And I suggested to them that they needed to talk to the people in Harrisburg with the hope that maybe they'll listen to the parents.
I wouldn't bet on it.
I know.
Remarkably opaque.
I can hope.
Any other questions on this stuff?
I guess my only other thought is, I mean, would the students be able to, you know, the ones who were just at basic, I mean, was it considered that it would just be a semester class,
Well,
and then they could do another elective in the spring? And I know you were saying that, you know,
And that might be something that we might consider. I know Matt Smith and we had a lot of conversations going back and forth on how were we going to handle the remediation. You know, what was the best option? And the reason that we decided on the full year course was that they take the exam in December. We don't find the results out till March. So then, you know, what do you do? Semester break is at the end of January. What we could possibly do is that next year I'm planning on proposing a semester course for the project-based assessment. So if we do that and looking at the results on how students are doing, I might consider proposing that we do the integrated science as a semester course as well for the retest. And then if they do not reach proficiency, they could have a semester course in order to do the project-based assessment.
And they would take that their junior year then?
They would have to take it junior year. Now, there's also, we've had conversations about offering something during the summer. Our biggest concern on that is that we would need to pay a staff member in order to be here, in order to assist those students that are working on the project-based assessment. Because there are various check marks that an instructor needs to check off on along the way on the project-based assessment. And in order to pay the staff member, then we would need to charge the parents. And we're having a really difficult time saying, okay, we're going to offer this during the summer, but you're going to have to pay a fee, and because it's a state requirement, and we're a public school. So I know Kathy and I have talked about it briefly. Matt and I talked about it exhaustively, and was just like, we just didn't feel right about doing that. You know, it's one thing having summer school and the student didn't do what they needed to do during the school year, and that you're taking it in order to get a passing mark and earn the credit for the course. But now we're talking about something that is state mandated for graduation. And there might be some parents that will pay that, but our lower academic level students, I don't know how many would take advantage of that. Or, I mean, and then we might have to pick up the expense anyways as a district. We've done a lot of thinking and talking about this topic. There's no, Algebra 1 and literature, they can do some of the remediation in the next course level. In science, with the majority of the students taking physics, I only have one physics teacher that's also certified in biology. The rest are not, including myself. And then Earth and Space, they're not certified in biology as well. So it makes it rough. I don't think the state really thought through. I know that's surprising. If they would have asked me, which they didn't, I would have said, let's stay with the PSSA science exam that was being given grade 11. I think it was a more fair test for our students. We could have had a little bit more flexibility as far as remediation is concerned, but they didn't ask my opinion. Okay, other things?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. H. and Mrs. Walter.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. We're here today to talk about a new course that we're proposing, which would essentially be rather informally entitled Reading Lab Tech. As you're probably familiar, we currently have a course offered at the high school entitled Reading Lab, and that is essentially the course that houses the Read 180 program. The way that course is set up, it's a semester-long course that meets for 2 periods a day. Students are enrolled in that course based upon a variety of criteria, including but not limited to test scores, individualized reading inventories or informal reading inventories, teacher recommendations, IEP recommendations, a variety of factors. The problem that we're having at the moment, and that this course is intending to sort of address, is a few things. First of all, we had the dissolution of Tech Academy at the high school. We have the advent of Keystone exams, as we've just discussed, and along with that, the project-based assessment and the need for remediation courses. We have specifically a population of students who attend the tech school in grades 10 through 12 and are therefore only at the high school for their academic courses 4 periods a day. And then on top of that, many of those students, not all, but many also have math and reading goals that require that they take courses in those specific areas, specifically with math, because we're talking about reading here. So what ends up happening is if a student, let's say a 10th grader, is attending the tech school, they're here for 4 periods a day, they need to take integrated science, transitional or academic, because they didn't pass the Keystone biology. They have a math goal, so they need to be in a math course. They need to take an English class once a year. And we have 1 period left. Then we need to squeeze in social studies and a double period of reading. We have a little bit of a problem. Furthermore, if they choose to attend the tech school, which in their transition plan is encouraged, if that's indeed the route that they want to go, we literally are kind of in a situation with all of these things converging where we can't get these kids to graduate on time. So our solution is to offer a Reading Lab Tech course that would be offered exclusively for students who attend Upper Bucks Vocational Technical School and are in grades 10 through 12 and are recommended for Read 180 or Reading Lab. Those students, in lieu of the double period semester course, would take a single period year-long course. And Scholastic in the Read 180 program does offer a model that, although it's not necessarily as highly acclaimed in terms of its research-based success, it still does work and it is approved and they endorse it, where for a period anywhere from 40 to 59 minutes, they will show you and work with you how to modify the curriculum in that way. So it's actually a pretty small amount of money that we're requesting. It's essentially just to work with the teachers over the summer to rewrite the curriculum so that they can get their heads wrapped around how to do this in 45-minute or 50-minute periods as opposed to the traditional 90-minute block. That's it. Any questions?
We have roughly 300 students at the vocational school currently. How many of those students would be involved in this program as you see it?
Maybe a quarter, a little less. I mean, it varies year to year based on needs.
To be honest, our numbers in Read 180 have been going down, which is a good thing. We have a continuum of services in place, so we're having more and more students in the Reading Skills and Strategies course, which is the less supportive reading course that's geared towards, sort of building those students' content area skills and kind of transitioning them out of the reading classroom. So those numbers are going up. Read 180 numbers are going down. This year,
We also, let me just add,
go
we
ahead.
also started Read 180 now for the last 2 to 3 years at 6th grade. So obviously, I'd much rather do it in middle school when there's not credits and all other important classes and things in transition planning. So we've seen less numbers because of that as well. So I think it's definitely going to be less than the last, 3 years.
the
but
population this is hitting right now, because the 11th and 12th graders aren't as affected by this because they're outside of the Keystone bubble. So they have at least one fewer problem to juggle. However, in terms of the 10th grade, we went through their schedules, and I would say there's between 10 and 15 students who are going to be affected by this because they're in Read 180. And so, again, hopefully those kids are moving out of Read 180. But I would say it's anywhere from 25 to 40 students across the high school that would be affected by it.
not saying that they're the only ones that have needs, but that would face this dilemma of scheduling.
So,
Any other questions?
okay.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Mrs. Altman and Mr. Suda.
We had planned to show some visuals, so maybe at this time, want to come on this side.
Let's hope this works. I don't know if she has it on. The blood pumping a little bit. Is there a USB? One. Just sign as me? What, can I log in myself?
That way your YouTube stuff can come out.
The only problem is not gonna be. I might have to redo all my preferences and everything for this thing because it's in there.
Well, I'm going to get started, and Craig's going to work on the technical end of it here with Danielle. We have several classes in digital design here at the high school, and one is our 3D class, which deals primarily with animation. And we're proposing new software for, I don't know where to talk here. Go this way.
Do you need the mic?
We have software now that we use in the class called Lightwave. And students have found it particularly challenging in terms of the modeling aspect of working with the material. And so we're looking at revising that aspect of the program to go to ZBrush. It's very popular for all kinds of applications, when Craig's going to bring a few of those up in a minute. And the thing about ZBrush is it will, in the future, it's not part of this proposal, but we're looking ahead to wanting to be able to do things like 3D printing and the like to integrate it into presently existing courses. And as the budget keeps coming down, we hope eventually to be able to move into that area with some of our other course offerings. The ZBrush is very popular, from jewelry to little toys and so forth that you get out there as part of any game activity or movie or all that kind of stuff. So
Basically, our philosophy, we're a little, not anti-test, but we're the arts. We're more the creative thinking and think outside the box, and it's problem solving. But it's original thought, and then in my case, in the digital department, it's using technology to foster these creative thoughts. ZBrush started in 1999 as in a beta program, and I think in 2002 it was released to the public. In 2014, it's now an industry standard, meaning if you would get a job, you're in a creative field, you're going to be using it more often than not. And when I say creative field, I don't mean if you're making a movie or a video game. That's definitely what it's designed for, but it's used in dentistry, architectural industry, medical industry. So basically, I'll be quick. What do we want to do? What are our expectations for our kids? And for us, we want them to understand, technology is a tool. It's a tool you can use to problem solve, as you get into, mathematics, science, if you're a journalist, an artist, a teacher, and more. So what we want to do is, have these kids come up with ideas, but we want to show them, hey, here's how things are made. And this is where the future is going. And, I don't know if you've researched 3D printing and the impact that they're saying it's going to have on our society, but it's going to be pretty major. And, the problem we have as educators, we're trying to teach kids for a job or about a job that doesn't really exist yet, right? I mean, the jobs that we're training these kids for, we don't know what they're going to do. But we do know that it is going to incorporate technology, right? And we want them to feel comfortable with the technology. We want them to be up to date with the technology. And sometimes it is just a nice, hey, I've been hammering away with this Keystone, and you'd be surprised. Some of these kids, once they get into our class, they struggle. They struggle with the open-endedness. They can, hey, tell me, memorize A, B, and C, and I'm fine. But when you tell them that that's not always the answer, there's multiple answers, they panic. And that's something we want to help with. So what is ZBrush? It is a digital sculpting and painting program. So basically, it's different than 3D. Okay, 3D is basically you take polygons or vertices and you take these points and you arrange them and you make a three-dimensional object. So your X, Y, and Z axis and you're moving points. You can take a 3D model and you can print it. The problem with 3D is in order to get really high resolution models, a lot of points or vertices, you need really high-end equipment. And 10 or 12 years ago, this company found a technology that it's a 2.5D program. So it's not 2D and it's not 3D, it's kind of a hybrid. And it allows you to create really high resolution material, whether it be a watch, shoes, a movie character, a ring. It allows you to do more than you could ever do in the past. And now it's just been integrated into almost everything from a technology standpoint. There is a video. Should I pull it up, or do you guys just want to get out of here? Pull it up. I'll try to pull it up. Hopefully it works. I can't verify that it's going to, but I have a link. So here's the software, and it should take me to the link, and hopefully I am going to. Should I enable this? I'll enable it. Whatever. Unfortunately, when we log on to a new computer for the first time, no matter where it is, we have to go through this. So anyway, in the top you can see, there it's being used in the medical industry. So essentially, like we could take you and scan you, and basically we could take this data from your scan, bring it up in the software, and doctors could print it out, and they could, essentially. In the future, they're thinking they could use it to recreate a kidney, and so it's used in everything. Primarily, though, it started out as an entertainment tool, which is good because our kids like video games, they like movies, and if we can say, hey, this is the stuff that you like, this is how it's made, they tend to want to learn it a little more. So let's just play this super quick. Hopefully it plays.
Plus, it'll give them a skill set for other fields as well as those just majoring in art down the road.
Right. Home Depot now has 3D printers in some of their facilities, so you can go there and print a hammer if you want to. So this is kind of what it starts out. This Pixology. It's a pixel. It's a 2.5D pixel.